You don't understand the beauty of being truly terrified of all things at all
Yeah,
times.
yeah. I
But
was
she's
corrupted so early that it just like
so sorry
unfathomable.
for you, so sorry for you, but it's
I'm not.
scary. I mean, you know,
I love being
you're
this
like
way.
you're like, "I'm a hard, that's fine."
No, I mean, like, but I
Um,
think about it, I'm like, I'm glad I grew up somewhere weird, and I'm glad I grew up
yeah.
somewhat twisted. That makes me happy. Welcome to Horror Movie Survival Guide, Disco Citizens, the podcast where gorehounds
And best friends, Terry Gamble,
and Julia Marchesi break down a different horror movie each week
exploring a multitude of genres, subgenres,
and subgenres,
classic and cult,
international,
and underground flicks alike, determining which films are the goriest
and offering up Horror Movie Survival Guide tips
to help you stay alive. Oh my gosh, welcome Disco Citizens to another fine, fabulous episode of Horror Movie Survival Guide. I am Terry, and I'm here with my trusty sidekick and BFF.
Julia, we are talking about this week 2016's I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. Title of this episode is This Is How You Rot. This was written and directed by Osgood Perkins. We just covered his first film, The Black Coat's Daughter, last week. So if you haven't listened to that, get on that. We've also covered his other movies as well. But it is this opening title card for
Except not Long
AP.
Legs yet. Don't worry, kids. It's coming next year. It's coming next year. Anyway, just so people don't be like, you haven't covered, excuse me. Actually, you did not cover Long Legs yet. You're right. We have not yet. It's
But
coming.
we
Don't
have
worry.
covered Gretel and Hansel, which is my favorite of his. So get to that
Correct.
one while you're
Correct.
waiting.
And the
Uh,
monkey. So you
and the monkey.
guys, we've done the other ones. Okay. Don't be
Yes.
mad. Yes.
So the title card at the beginning is for AP who gave me an old house. So I'm assuming that is Anthony Perkins, his father, and that he had Syrian. So, hopefully this came from a real interaction. Something happened in this house or just brought the seeds to life.
I think everything in that particular area of the world is similar to your guru man, the man you love, Stephen King. That area of the country is haunted. I will just say it. New England is haunted. When I saw this area, I was like, oh, I've been there. I've been to Braintree. I've been to this part of Massachusetts. You take it basically the end of the freaking line, the red line. You're like, oh, here I am. It's in the middle of like nowhere. Everything feels like nowhere but somewhere. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Then where it's just like lots of trees and all of a sudden there's a house, lots of trees, there's a thing. Um, one of my favorite professors lived in Watertown. When the Watertown ambulance comes up in the end of this movie, I was like, yep, know that too. Like very
Mm.
strange, but also, yes, New England is haunted. Whatever happened there when the Americans got here, they fucked it up
Let's,
and
let's,
they left
let,
a
let,
lot of
let,
ghosts.
yeah, let's skip on. Skip on past that. We're gonna get some voiceover from Lily, played by Ruth Wilson. She says, "I have heard myself say that a house with a death in it can
Ruth
never
Boynton,
be
right? Sorry.
bought or sold by the
Ruth
living.
Wilson, sorry. Yes.
It can only be borrowed from the ghosts that have stayed behind."
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Getting right into it. So again, this was a movie that I wanted to see both because I had liked Gretel and Hansel so much, and but I hadn't seen this or Black Witch Daughter, so I was curious to see what because I have no clue about either one of what they were about. So that's always the fun of it going into be like, I don't know, cool titles. Let's see what happens. But
Great titles.
getting in this explanation of the other side saying that like nothing chains people to where they are when they die, but if you can stay if you want to, but you are living in this world where like time isn't right and everything kind of looks like blurry through a window, so you're not really seeing anything clearly, and like there's these shots of that effect of how you're seeing the ghost. They're really gorgeous. I think it's a really cool way to show that, and also very spooky.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful. Again, I'm thinking about Presence again. I feel like, the way he deals with, like, the other world and, like, spectrals and all that kind of stuff, reminding me of that vibe if we're just looking at Ghost, right? Um, beautiful, beautiful Ghost. Yeah, beautiful ghosts. And
Yeah.
they all have, like, flowery names here. We're getting, that was Lily talking to us, but she's, showing up this lady's house named Iris. I was like, "Oh, all the flower girls." Oh, no.
Yeah. So
Flowers don't
Iris,
last once you pick 'em.
I Paula Prentiss, legend, plays Iris Blum. You said you just went down a rabbit hole about her, so you got to tell me what the deal is.
The deal is this was her first movie in 30 years. He got her out of
Wow.
retirement to do this movie, basically, like, she had not done stuff, but one of the things that she had done was do a film with our dear Osgood Perkins' dad, Anthony Perkins, Catch-22, which is Julia, one of your favorite topics, a war movie.
Whee!
But also like an anti-war movie within a war movie because it's
Sure,
Catch-22. If you guys are
of course.
familiar with the book, it's based on that novel.
I
And
have read the book, but I have not seen the movie, so
yeah, so we gotta check out the movie. I haven't seen the movie either, and I was like, "Oh, maybe wanna watch it," because this is a movie that we're gonna see within the movie. We get a little clip of the Catch-22 actually later on in the film, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I see a little wink, wink, nod, nod." As we said, Osgood, as you know, is a student of the genre as much as he is a
of
legacy of the
course.
genre, and so he's, giving a little head nods here and there. So this movie, apparently too, when he was, going to do this, again, kind of like Black Coat's Daughter too, where I say talked with you last week about how when a writer writes something, they're always revealing parts of themselves or
Mhm,
aspects of themselves or something they're trying to work through. And that I know he's very upfront that this is like an attempt also to connect with his father again too, because we're dealing with a ghost story. Originally, the writer character was actually going to be a male that we have that Iris played, but
mhm.
he actually switched it, I think, beautifully to have it be this older lady, and also a friend of his family, and got her to come and do this
Mm.
for him.
Yeah, that's
But
so
she was a
cool.
huge star, not just huge, like, yes, box office, but also one of the tallest ladies. She was, like, the tallest lady, like, on her in her studio, and was often paired with the tallest gentleman of her studio when they did a bunch of very successful movies like Where the Boys Are, check it
Yeah.
out, wonderful film, of the golden era.
Yeah. So we say that this house is going to be holding the seat for the memory of their death. Iris Blum is an author of 13 novels, most of them kind of spooky. Um,
13.
and 13, of course. And we are going to meet our heroine, Lily, who is Sailor, who is a hospice nurse. She says she's 28 and she will never be 29. So they're letting you know right off the bat. And a little Balaban action, Mr. Waxcap. That's the most perfect name for him I've ever heard. That character
I
name
get
for him is beautiful.
He's one of my favorite actors, as you know, because I'm obsessed with all the Christopher Guest movies that he happens to be a part of his like cadre of actors that always comes in. And Julia finally saw Waiting for Guffman this year. I cannot believe we finally rectified that. That's just so wild to me.
How much
Mhm.
crossover? Because he's also in the Wes Anderson cadre, right? Like, how much
Uh-huh.
crossover is there between those two groups?
I think there's a good amount because we were just talking about Gretel and Hansel because, as we're preparing for more Osgood Perkins, that
Right.
Sophia Lillis was also in Asteroid City, but also in our Osgood Perkins verse here. I don't know. There's like, I feel like they all kind of, there's vibes, right? Of
Yeah.
like kind of a style, maybe,
Sure.
or
But I think
homies that are just like recommending.
but I think it's also, I love when a director gets an actor and falls in love with them and has them in a bunch of their movies. But I also love that there are actors where that's happened with multiple people, right? Look at Leonardo DiCaprio, like how many directors have like been obsessed with him for a little bit and then they move on to the next
Hmm.
thing, like that kind of thing. It's
Hmm.
not neat. So she's a hospice nurse. Iris Blum is not in pain, but she is not doing good, and she's just got to be there till she dies. Make sure she's comfortable. Basically, says she has a
Yeah.
trust that this beautiful house, and she has made it very clear that she will die in that house. She's not to be taken out. So those are the commands.
Yeah, she doesn't wanna leave. There's something that's holding her there. It seems that she is enchanted by maybe the spirits of the home, but also, like, who wants to leave their house if they don't have to? She's got the funds to stay there, and, if you don't have to go to a sad hospital or something like that, you know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
like, a place, a home, outside of your own home. I think there's something to be said for that if you can. Um, and she also, she's got, some dementia, also is not super she's always lucid. But she seems very sweet, but also just like a little,
Confused.
confused at most of the time, which is also very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Um, and Bob Balaban, our little guy, is very exacting and very precise, not super feeling, which is also great because seems like Lily is, and he's just not. And so she seems like
How
a nice antidote as they're like a little fire and water, kind of energy with each other.
For sure, and I think having a scaredy cat as a main character in a horror movie is always so much fun. Like, I think about Johnny Depp in Sleepy Hollow and, like, the delight of him screaming like a woman and fainting every time something happens. It's just it's really fun. So, like, they're really setting you up that, like, she doesn't like scary stuff. Like, and
At
if you could
all.
imagine, like, you've moved into the house of someone like that's what they're famous for, and then you're like, "I don't wanna read any of this stuff. It's gonna freak me out."
Well,
I
not just that,
can't
you're also in the
imagine.
middle of nowhere in Massachusetts. I cannot tell you
Yeah.
enough how dark it is in the woods out there when there's no street lights, like, anywhere near you. So she's in a dark house that probably has, like, like, she said there's no TV in there. There's an old landline. We talked about landlines before. This isn't Osgood Perkins. He loves a landline. We got a landline
Right.
in this movie.
With a
It's
hella long
scary.
cord.
Hella long cord. It's like, that's a cord for killing somebody with. Like, that's what that cord is for.
It'll
Like,
wrap
right?
around things real nice.
Yeah.
So we don't actually get to know very much about Lily as a character before with her nurse life. We do get to talk to her. She's talking to her sister on the phone. She just mentioned that she almost got married to a guy named Scott, but it didn't work out. And before she can kind of get further, the phone is yanked out of her hand violently by something that is not there. So that's
Yeah.
the first start. So she's already like, to be the level of scaredy cat where you read like a couple sentences in a book and it freaks you out. That's a level of I can't, as like a hardened gorehound, I can't
Well,
relate
you
to it.
surpassed that at 11 years old, so you don't understand the beauty of being truly terrified of all things at all
Yeah,
times.
yeah. I
But
was
she's
corrupted so early that it just
so sorry
unfathomable.
for you, so sorry for you, but it's
I'm not.
scary. I mean, you know,
I love being
you're
this
like
way.
you're like, "I'm a hard, that's fine."
No, I mean, like, but I think about it,
And
I'm like, I'm glad I grew up somewhere weird, and I'm glad I grew up
yeah.
somewhat twisted. That makes me happy. Who wants to
Well,
be
yeah, Las
normal?
Vegas will do that to you.
Las Vegas will. Las Vegas will. So Iris keeps thinking that Lily is someone named Polly, and so she is keeps calling her that, even though she keeps telling her she's not Polly. But they talk about she says that time passes more quickly for houses that have known death, and then we just have like 11-month time jump forward, which I don't really know why. You could just kind of start from where he starts and go forward. I don't know what
Well, she
I
said she
understand the
won't
time.
turn 29, so we gotta get to the
Right.
end, right? So we're fast forwarding to, like, and
Sure,
also
but
they
then
talked
just have
about
her.
time being, like, weird anyway, because she's kind of retelling it to us, right?
Sure. But couldn't she just make it like a month before her birthday and just have it anyway, doesn't matter.
We wanted to show her the first night being terrified to still being just as fucking scared, which she seems to
Yeah.
be 11 months later.
Sure.
We also wanted to show the mold grow that happened when she started, so we have to have a little time elapse because they didn't wanna do that fast. That's like, mm, doesn't look good at the beginning, but it looks real bad by the time we get to this 11-month later. So there's like a weird mold spore that's been growing in the hallway, downstairs in the main hallway. And it's Iris spends most of her time upstairs in her room, where Lily seems to spend more of her time downstairs in the kitchen and other stuff like that, unless she's needed upstairs, because Iris has a little bell that she rings when she needs anything. Um, and so we also got the first night though too before that, she also and early on, she tries using the TV because they
Oh
said there
yeah.
was not a TV in the house, right? And she's like, "They said they weren't here." The way she talks to the TV like it's like a real thing, like like an animate object is also, like, a little creepy and beautiful. Like, she said
Hmm.
that you "Come on, work for me," and she tries to make the TV work. It's got the old bunny ears. It's one of those old click, 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 come up, no remote control TV. I used to have one of these even long after you were supposed to have remote control TVs, that I used to play with my Nintendo 64. It was great. I miss that TV. Anyway, um, but she can't get anything through, and it's feeling very. I just went through the Poltergeist house at Halloween Horror Nights last month, and so it feels very like that, the Poltergeist house, where I was like, "Ew,
Hmm.
that doesn't look good when you're seeing static, and maybe you're just conducting for the ghost now because you've had the landline, and now we've got a TV, we've got all these analog things. Not good."
Yes. So she calls Mr. Waxcap out to ask him about the mold, and he's like, they're probably not going to do anything about it. She's like, I can't breathe this in. She can't breathe this in. You got to do something about it. It's like, well, after she dies, she asked what happens going to happen after she dies, and she said they're set up so a woman author will get to move into the house at no cost after she dies. But she's like, well, then you'd have to fix it up for them anyway, so just fix it up now. And he's not really seeming very concerned. But breathing in mold is not something anybody wants to do.
No, he's not super receptive. I feel like as much as, Iris has means, it sounds like he's really tight about what those means are because of her stipulations. He's still trying to be the steward of this trust, and sometimes when you're a steward of the trust, you have to be as conservative as possible. I've seen it happen where, when people trying to deal with the trust and trying to deliver the letter and, of the will, that it's not always easy because sometimes there isn't enough money to do what you want. So he also gives her a card for these people, the JRS, Darling Brothers, whatever, to like fix it. But that also seems like a cryptic ass card. I feel like a very Patrick Bateman moment where I'm like, he hands the card and I'm like, eh. Um, These
But
people
how
have
is
been
the
in business
font?
for a
How
hundred
is how
yeah.
how is the heft of the paper? This is what we need
Right?
to know.
We need to know, but it's a raised font, so, it's not a letterpress. Anyway, and so, she gets the card and he's like, "Yeah, just, check in with them and see if they can what they say, and then we'll go from there." So basically, like, get an estimate and then see if it's feasible.
Yeah.
So, not super heartening though.
So Lily screws up her courage as she's been staring at this wall of books of all the books that Iris has read. She's been staring at it. She finally decides she's a novel called Lady in the Walls that she decides she's going to take a look at, where the main character is named Polly. Uh, there's a big forward in front of the book where Iris says that she has an obligation to be true to the subject, that she is only relating things that the lady in the walls of her house have told her, and that there will be no ending because she doesn't know the ending because somehow ghosts get confused at the ending. So don't expect it because there isn't one.
And
And
not to
I
be con
appreciate that because
mhm,
there's a Stephen King novel where he does that, where like in the first page he's like, "There's no answer to this. If you are going to get
mhm.
mad because there's no answer to this, don't read this book because that's what this is." And I'm like, that's kind of
Yeah.
cool to be like, okay, up front telling you.
Lets you know, and we know Osgood has studied his Stephen King, so he probably got a little
Oh
bit of
yeah,
that from that as well too. I wouldn't be surprised
probably
if
yeah.
it's directly from that. But also when she opens the book, there's a pressed flower in there. So we see a flower that's been preserved. Again, all these ladies have flowers' names. We've got Lily, we've got Iris, right? And so we see this like kind of daisy that's been pressed in there. And we see flowers throughout the movie as like, kind of a symbol. And we kind of might hear things from these flowers, like when Lily talks to the flowers, they say things like, "This is how you rot." And it's like,
Hmm.
okay. Like if once you've been plucked and picked and put into an arrangement, you don't get to keep living. But if you get pressed, you might get preserved, but it's still not quite what you used to be. You're a different version of yourself, right? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of symbolism with these flowers that are going out throughout the film as well. So, mhm.
Polly has to stop reading the book because it upsets her
Lily
too
stops
much.
reading Polly's book, yeah.
I'm sorry, but yes. And then she has a horrible hallucination where her arms are moldy and distended, so things are
She's
starting to go wonky.
dealing with yeah, she's got a bunch of, like, raspberry or yeah, not raspberries, blue what are those? What
Blackberries.
blackberries, thank you. I was like, "Oh, the berries that are the other ones." Okay, anyway, and she's washing the berries and, like, she gets a little bit on her white shoe, and she talked earlier in the movie about why she wears white at the beginning of the film. As a nurse, she's like, I'm not required to, they don't usually require me, but I do wear it just so they know that there's some sort of light in the darkness that they may be heading towards, like, as hospice nurse." And I was like, "Ooh, it's kind of like poetic, but also like, ugh, like
Mhm,
brutal. But just so they know that she's not like a dark figure, she wears this white. But as you see now, you get that the darkness has started to taint her a little bit because, like the mold on the wall, that blackberry stain on on her little white keds kind of looks like that mold on the wall, and so she feels
mhm.
that in her body. It feels like it extends and goes through her arms, and it's so gross. This sequence,
And beautiful, and
yeah.
beautiful. So she does see a TV in the TV reflection when it's turned off. She does see a ghost standing behind her in the door frame, but when she turns it again, that they're not there. And she does find a box in a closet that has Polly written on the front of it. So she takes it down and finds old letters all rotten. And
And the
they
box
talk,
inside a box, because it's a box in
yeah.
the box, and the box in the box is moldy as fuck, and it looks a lot like how her arms looked, right? It's got the same kind of
Hmm.
colorization, even like the same like the splatter pattern kind of looks similar to what her arms looked like before. So you're like, "Oh, okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And
Yeah,
uh-oh."
and we do get this very kind of nice voiceover of a lot of the beginning of The Lady in the Walls that Iris Bloom had written, and she does say, that the girl, that Polly, has forgotten her death, and so she says, like, how does one forget something as essential as that? How does one forget death? Because as humans, we're always obsessed with ghosts. Like, how did you die? What happened? What do you remember at that moment? And if that's gone, then it becomes this kind of like nebulous thing where you're not really dead because you can't even remember being dead.
You're like in this weird limbo space kind of, right? And so she's trying to figure it out. Um But she ends up connecting with Iris, and they, have a little like, I don't know, just like she's trying to connect with her and she's like, "You still keep calling me Polly," like, "That's not who I am." She's been insistent on it. But they end up like getting together and watching a movie on a reel to reel. And so, since the TV doesn't work on its own, they put on this movie. And through the course of this movie, though, she might start seeing and feeling ghosts after she sees this movie.
Mhm.
and she's still feeling very connected to Polly, and now you're getting a little bit more why Iris has been calling her Polly maybe because they do have similar energy where they're both wearing white all the
Mhm.
time because Polly was in her wedding dress and as the ghost has been in her white wedding dress. So there's the whiteness that you're getting there too. So if you're wearing white all the time and the bride was wearing white all the time and that's the ghost you talk to, who knows?
And so we do find out what happens to Polly. She was hit over the head with a hammer by her husband and stuffed into the walls of the house. And
The
that
day
is
she was
when,
married, because they
yeah,
disappeared. There was like a couple disappeared. They got married in the city center and no one saw them after their wedding. And this is why.
yeah. So Lily, this was too scary for me. Nope, done, out. Can't read anymore because she knows it's true and she probably feels that it's happening, and it is very, very scary her. But Iris said that Polly eventually turned her back on her and said, "It's a terrible thing to look at oneself and all the while see nothing."
Yeah. So it's like you get that like maybe all of these books were ghost of the house or like ghost in that area, which is why she wants another author to be there too so they could continue the stories or maybe figure out the ending of some
But
sort. There's yeah,
I
right?
mean, just such a cool idea that like the ghost, like you've just written down what you've been told that the
Mhm.
ghost was actually you're just like a medium that the ghost is talking to. I think
Mhm.
that's a fun idea in itself.
Conducting. Yes, she's a conduit, a medium if you will. And so we also get these, like, weird not weird, but beautiful interactions really of, like, young Iris, looking like she's in the same space sometimes as Lily, and so you're, like, not quite sure who's the ghost now and who's seeing what at what time,
Mhm.
as they're living these lives together. It's like all different versions of them are kind of converging with each other, I think
I
throughout the
think
film too.
I guess I have always considered like if multiple people died in a house, then they would be able to like hang out as ghost buddies. But in this, it
Mhm.
just seems like you're locked in your own kind of spectral space and can't connect with anybody else. And
Yeah.
but unless you, but I guess she Holly does connect with Iris, I guess, right? Because she does talk to her and tell her the story, but not.
You only can
I don't know,
connect with
not
the living, right? You don't get
yeah.
to connect with other dead people, so it's like there's all these stories have happened, and it's like, yeah, it seems very isolating, and then this house seems also very isolating in the middle of nowhere.
So Lily does find the hole where the mold is and where her body is, and she sees something that scares her so bad she dies.
Yeah, she, like, basically has, like, a heart attack, and that's it. She doesn't make
And
it for that full year. Mhm.
no, and Mrs. Blum dies as well. So they come and take both the bodies out.
Within, like, a
But
few days of each other, it seems, they both kind of rot in the house,
mhm,
before our little Mr. Waxcap shows up, opens the door, and is like, "Ugh, probably smell real bad right there."
yeah. So it is the thing of she says you may borrow the house from me, like they're going to be there forever, and she says that she does have the choice to leave, but she wants to stay. And I think that's not something that's talked about in horror films very much, where the ghost has a choice. Usually it's
Mhm,
like you have to go to the light or else something will happen, right? And this is
mhm,
just like you can hang out here if you want to, and then when you get bored you can like come on up or whatever. I think
mhm.
that's a cool idea,
Wherever that is.
wherever that
And
is.
so they the ambulance takes them all away, and then a new family is gonna move into the house with some kids. And there's a little boy that is, kind of haunted and visited by, Lily now. And so he's got a whole new story and a whole new ghost story, kind of emerges with her. And we get, continuing again, like, this is how you rot. This is where you either rot here and you keep haunting this place, um, or not.
So this like makes me desperately want to talk to Osgood Perkins about his haunting experiences in his life, because these are some cool ideas, and I wonder how much of it comes from real stuff.
I think a lot of it is just dealing again, like he said, with this dad's, um, early passing and still trying to connect and what that means to connect things that you can't see and can't feel anymore, but also still maybe feel presences of in different ways.
Hmm.
Um, especially like I said, with the casting of like Paula Prentiss, someone who knew his dad well, um, to build that connection as well, I think is really beautiful. Um,
So how do you survive this film?
I don't I don't know. I think the beauty of this is that they talk about everyone's gonna die at some point, and so it's like you don't always know. They said I think one of the lines was that we make our own ghost by looking and pretending not to see. Like your story's already writing itself. I don't know what time we talk about the time continuum often on the show because
Sure.
sometimes it's like, especially when you're dealing with like life and death, it's like that weird circle of you already are on that path to whatever's going to be the end, but you already are at the beginning and the end at the same time.
Mhm.
And whatever is going to happen is going to happen. I don't think it's about survival. I think it's about like, are you going to make peace with whatever's coming forth and be brave? Maybe. I don't know.
Mm. Okay. All right,
What
let's
do you
get some gore
think?
factor going. Oh, I
Okay.
I, I think I mean, you just I guess. I mean, for Lily's, like, you just have to be harder when it comes to horror, right? Like, either you leave in the very first instant you feel something's wrong, or you have to harden up a little bit. But okay, gore
She's
factor.
not gonna.
1, not enough blood to fill a Dixie cup. 2, a puddle of blood. 3, enough blood to gross out the average viewer. 4, a bathtub of blood. And 5 is run for the barf bag. Polly does get her hit over the head with a hammer, but we don't see very much. So it is a 1.5 for gore.
Yeah, it's not super gory, but it is really beautiful. There are some weird, disturbing things we get to see in this film too, and with the bride walking around with like the ghost of blood basically on her. Um, So yeah, pretty beautiful. Chainsaws, 1 if you're desperate, 2 barely qualifies as a horror film, 3 seen worse, seen better, 4 not too shabby, 5 fantasticorical. This was a 3 for me. This was not my favorite of the Osgood verse, seen worse, seen better, but I thought it was really pretty. I liked kind of like all the like, the flowerness and Bob Balaban and anything. I'm gonna be a happy camper because I'm obsessed with that man and I love him very much.
It's a 3 for me as well. I think there's some cool ideas in this. And I like the idea of the woman author and getting her stories told through a ghost is really cool. Um, but I wish there was a little bit more. I wish I got a little bit more from the characters. Um,
It was a really
so
sparse, very meditated. This was one of those ones that's like
mhm.
a meditation. It was very,
Yeah,
very, very, very of that, of just like a lot of you know, ghost POV and meditation and waiting and kind of, not sure of the time continuum. And that's that thing
yeah,
they're talking about, the messing with time, right? Of
right.
like 11 months versus 1 day versus this, whole year versus this lifetime versus 100 years from the last ghost and 1812 from the other ghost and like all the different,
Yeah,
times that were converging in this house. So
yeah.
I think
I
that
don't
that's
mind
part
I
of
don't
it.
mind the slow pace at
Hmm.
all. I feel like it feels like a lot of international horror, and I'm cool with
Oh
that.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
where
He's done
where
his
can they
homework, this
find
guy.
us, bestie?
I don't know. On the internet, you guys, we're all over. We're where you want us to be. We're on the TikTok, we're on the Facebook, we're on the X, we're on I said it. Ugh. How did that happen to me? It happened to you before. I hate it. Twitter,
I
whatever.
know.
It's forever Twitter. Blue Sky. Go there. We're also on our Patreon if you want to make suggestions. That's usually where we're pulling from first. First priority for what we're going to cover this next year. Like I said, we've been building out 2026. So if you want to don't worry, we're going to cover long legs. It'll happen 2026. We got you, Osgood heads. That's why we're here. Um, and you can check out Julie on a couple other amazing podcasts. She does one of them called The Losers Club, all about Stephen King, maybe somebody who inspired our dear Osgood Perkins, clearly, with these stories and a New England story as well. And she also has another show that I love called JodoWOWsky, all about the life and legend of Alejandro Jodorowsky, one of the coolest guys out there, still making beautiful art, still post an amazing post every Sunday. I love shouting that out. If you are not on Instagram, get on there just for Sundays with Alejandro and just check out what he posted. It's so cute. He gives 10 things every Sunday, 10 cosas, about just, life. And so each thing, um, it's just really always beautiful and poetic and inspirational and just makes me think about like as an artist what I want to do and who I want to be. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We also, speaking of artists we love, we also do a show with the George A. Romero Foundation called Horror X. We talk to women and femmes in horror about horror stuff, horrorful stuff.
Their
And we
careers.
would
Yeah.
love to talk to you. Yes, give us your suggestions. Tell us what you think about Osgood Perkins, whatever you like. We love that you listen to us. Thank you so much. If you like what you hear, please do suggest us to your friends, rate, drop a comment, a suggestion,
Like, follow,
anything.
subscribe. Oh my God. Like,
Mhm.
follow, subscribe. Smash that like button. Oh my gosh.
Stop.
Ring the
Stop.
bell.
Stop.
I'm sorry. Julia, that's Julia's biggest fear. She's like, we're going to YouTube, but you don't do all that. I was like, I won't have to do all that crazy stuff, but it does help. So please, unironically, ding the things. All right. Thanks. Bye.
Have a good week.
Thank you for listening. Horror Movie Survival Guide is independently produced by Terry Gamble, Julia Marchesi, and Sierra Ryan. Hey, that's me. If you would like to support the show, find us on patreon.com/horror movie survival guide.